welcome back to the 501 Social Podcast. This is VIVI, and this is the second part of our open discussion that was posted last week, where we had myself, Victor, MS.MAR, and Jay talking about different topics. So if you haven't listened to the first part as yet, you can go do that. Come back to this one. We hope you enjoy. I think that, especially for younger people, they need to find something or a community that gets them, that understands them. Yeah. And I feel like if you don't have that, you can feel very alone and lost and angry. And a lot of people may ridicule stuff that you're into and make fun of it. And a lot of people go through that. And so they feel kind of ashamed of it, of what they're into, you know. But there's something out there for everyone to find a group of people that they can connect with positively. I think a lot of people, males, find that in sports, so like basketball, NFL, whatever you're into. You have people like like Mel, who finds it in religion, that sense of community. I feel like Jay and I find it a lot in music, in different things, and it helps. And I feel like for me, I think what I'm trying to look for is a word that has safe space. A place where you could go to, or a thing that you can watch will make you feel safe. Because I was thinking about it the other day, and the outside world is harsh for a lot of people. So like, you know, like when Victor was going through his stuff, it was very harsh, right? And we deal with different people, different situations every day. And sometimes those things are very overwhelming, very overstimulating. And if you don't have like a safe thing, a safe space, a safe zone to go to, it can be very dangerous.
Refuge.
Because that's when you start getting angry and you start having all these built up emotions. Because you don't really have any way to be safe. And a lot of those people are like, maybe they don't feel safe in their own homes, and they don't have like a safe community where they find joy and happiness. And I think people don't realize how important it is to have a safe space, to have a very positive space to be in. For me personally, I'm at the point where if it brings me negativity, I extract myself out of the situation. I don't want to be in that space. I have no time to be in that space. I'd rather be in my little bubble of safeness and be called like all these type of things, childish, whatever, than feed into this type of negativity. But I understand some people can't get out of that negativity because they don't know how to, or they're ashamed to. And I can only say my little story on that is, again, I'll bring it up because I'm not ashamed of it anymore, but I'm a huge K-pop fan. But for a long time, I was very ashamed of that. Because in Belize, where I live and grew up, you listen to what? You listen to Korean music, you know?
Not Caribbean?
Exactly. You don't, sure? Like, I feel like the farthest you could go international is like rappers, like from America. You understand? So, like, for me, a person that I found a lot of happiness in Korean pop, I felt very, like, singled out. Because I didn't like the other music people were listening to. And I've always been that way because I was, prior to getting to K-pop, I listened to One Direction. And even then I used to get bullied for that. You understand? So when I got into K-pop, I felt very singled out in that. And it wasn't until like maybe like a few years later, no, not a few years, maybe like a few months later, I met a friend online, you know, who was through Twitter actually, who was into the same thing, same BTS, and that's where I started to find my sense of community, because she was into it as well, and then we shared that type of feelings. And then I met another friend, and then there was like a whole group of people, and then you kind of feel like you have people to talk to about this that share your same interests, share your same joy and excitement and all of these things. And then later in life, I got introduced to another person who I think is my best friend, and I got introduced to her from my brother, and I kind of got her into K-pop, and then she shares that with me. So it's like now I have a direct person to share that, you know, safe space with, and it is very, it's very like, it brings a lot of joy to know that you have something to share, and then have people be like yes, or like be excited with you. You understand? And I'm so happy I found that kind of early in my life, that safe space where I can just be like kind of like the better version of myself. And I'm very fortunate to have found that, and I know not everybody's gonna find that in K-pop. Like I said, there's people who find it in sports and different
and
things.
in Roman Coke and
Yeah,
bears.
well, those affect people.
Yeah, but
And
that's what I'm saying.
I think,
People
you know,
when
the thing with the
people
whole
go
romance stuff,
there.
let me just clarify this for the people that are listening. By no
turn
means
to-
we do drink around here, we do smoke around here, and it's always just for socializing. You know, I think when people do it to escape, that's the more dangerous.
Well, that's what I was saying. A positive.
You know?
I think drinking isn't a positive way of.
But
No,
that
but
is where they went from.
it's a form of socializing.
It's-
Even God, even Jesus' time, they socialized with wine. That's
But
why
they
it's a limit. It's a limit.
It's
pushing
in the
limit.
moderation, exactly.
And
Moderation is
you said
everything.
it. You said it with pent up anger. I think a lot of people are working about pent up anger, and I won't say what type of profession they are, but they're in Belize. We know the profession that they're in, and they have a lot of pent up anger, and they're taking innocent people, and even in teachers, you know, I'm sorry I always bring up teachers. I think this is like the third podcast that I'm bringing up teachers, but not only kids bully.
Yeah.
I got bullied by my teacher when I was in high
That's so
school.
unfortunate. That should happen. It should never
She
happen.
wanted the perfect class, and she got it. She wanted everyone to pass English and math. Everybody passed English and math. Due to my lot of absence, I couldn't make up grades for other topics, like you can't make up PE.
Yeah.
You can't make up woodwork. You know, and I'm to blame, and I am taking full blame for this stuff, right? Because I was very disrespectful to many of the teachers. But especially I was very disrespectful to woodwork teacher and metalwork teacher, you know. I had to take the class. I had no I don't want to be a carpenter. I don't want to weld things. But these are topics that you have to take when you're attending the school that I did. I won't say the school because
That's not important right now.
you know I don't want not there. But if you know me in person, you know the school, and I always not there.
Yeah.
I won't do it on the podcast.
Okay.
And I failed PE, metalwork, and woodwork. So I failed the term. I found it very ridiculous that that was the thing in the deal. You fail 3 topics, you fail the term. Even if you pass math and English, they don't want to hear it. So she said to the whole class, with the anger like this, you stand up. I was so happy. All of you pass English and math, like I asked you all to do. But then here's Victor failing woodwork, metalwork, and PE. Wow. That's what she said. And all the kids chuckled, smiled, laughed, you know. I lost respect with some of the kids for something that she did. Now, I can't remember where or when, but she did come to me and wanted to apologize for what she did. I just remember telling her, I'll be the adult and I'll accept the apology. Because what she did was none of being an adult. What she did, I don't care if she was PMSing that day. You should never break a child in front of other children.
No, let child, anybody for that sake.
You understand what I'm
Can't do
saying?
that. Totally
And this is
not.
the reason why, like I always go there and I always bash the teachers name. If I go to my job site tomorrow and I don't fulfill my job, I don't do what I'm supposed to do, I get fucking fired. You are here, I give you 35 children, none should fail. That is your job. You can spell job, you're a teacher, right? You're a teacher, you're supposed to have wisdom, you're supposed to have knowledge. You are supposed to have a calling to be a teacher, not because it's an easy job or it's because the money is there. You're supposed to be the people that are molding our future. You are the one that are supposed to talk to the kid that you think is going to come and shoot up the school. You are the one that is supposed to make the change, that's supposed to inspire people. If you are not doing that, then I think you should retire. I think you should quit, or I should find somebody to replace your ass. Because if I'm the parent and I have to do your job on top, they like say we are not babysitters. Or not have a higher job than a babysitter. You guys are sculpting, molding these children.
Future generations.
Teach them something that they can hold on to. Teach them something. Don't let them feel like they're stupid. I've been in many classes and these teachers come in and they scold me like they want to punch your ass. I
We heard it
tell
on
you,
social
man,
media
man.
already.
I'll
tell
be
you-
honest, it's hard to
Single out teachers?
no.
Really?
So honestly, for a lot of, like you said, talk to the children who you think is having a tough time, and you know, I'll be honest with you. When I was in high school, we had a counselor, and she would go around talking to like the troublemakers or like the kids who are lonely, or you know, who I guess they knew were getting bullied and stuff like that, or needed to talk. And one day she picked me as a person to go down to the office and talk. And the first thing she asked when we walk in is, how am I feeling emotionally? And then she gave like 3 rocks. And she's like, small, medium, large. And she's like, what are your feelings at this point? Like a small, like a medium, or a large? And at that time, she didn't know. Nobody really knew besides me. But I was, again, very trigger warning, I was suicidal at that time. And I lied. I said I was small. I thought I'm fine. Like, I'm good. You know, because it's hard to talk to people when you're going through things at that time. So I think if the situation turned out differently and I did take my own life, a lot of people probably would have asked, why didn't she go to the counselor? What the counselor to do? The counselor tried. I just didn't want to talk.
You think she really? I had counselors at my school too. They did what you just said, like going to do your job. But like they tell she go do your job. So she doesn't look for the people who look rough. She doesn't look for the ones that she know that
They look
troublemaker.
quiet.
She look for who have the most demerits and gonna talk.
I didn't have the most demerits.
No, but
No, but you could see the unhappiness, maybe the sadness. There's visible things that they look out for. But you
No,
said that earlier.
I'm
You
telling
said
you,
you said
I'm
the
not
children
gonna
need
say
to be.
it. I'm gonna
These children
say
need to
but
be
I don't want to
touched
say
or to reach.
say it, and I don't want to make people feel bad. You're on the heavier side, right?
Yeah.
That's the reason why she talked to her. That's what I'm trying to tell you. These people in the Ministry of Education, they need to reevaluate everyone in that sector because, man, your teachers are not good. And I lie to you, the teachers are not good. The ones that are passing, the ones that are so smart and all this bull, they're getting extra tutors from their parents are paying other people to and the parents are also pushing the knowledge. And that kid, we're talking about not having a childhood, that kid's not gonna have a child. That kid's gonna be a fucking miserable person also. Because you're making him into like what cyborgs. Just a living computer that's gonna just blurt out fucking knowledge. I'll tell you something now. I'm working right now for 2 to 3 different places with nothing that I learned at high school, nothing in primary school. If I'm gonna contribute anything to what they did was teaching me how to fucking read and plus. And I think you could have taught me that. So what did they do? They didn't give me anything. The education system is failing the Belizean student a lot. They're failing the students, and the parents are getting frustrated because you tell the kid spell situation or tell him to spell a simple word, and he can't. And they're getting slower, but yet the world is progressing in this new generation of technology and stuff, and yet they're getting slower. It's very confusing for me. You know, I'm not the smartest person, fine, right? But I do see, and I know how shit smell, you know. And I think the teachers then need to step up. They're partaking in different government issues and stuff, you know. They're demonstrating. They're showing them that. What are they teaching children by demonstrating and stuff like that? Stand up for your rights, right? How about the child and start demonstrating against his teachers? You're not teaching me right. I'm not going to go to school. Does that make sense to you?
I think once they have like more than half the class passing, that's success for them. That's the bottom line.
So your boss come tomorrow and say, Miller, you've been doing 50% of your work. Brilliant. I think you need a promotion. What do you say?
But I think it's different because they're dealing with humans.
But that's you see. No. That's you're trying to give.
I think you just hate teachers, honestly.
No, I don't.
I mean, no, you don't know what it is to be a teacher.
My favorite teacher was Fred Brand, and if Mr. Fred Brand is listening to this, I think it's too old to figure it out. But Mr. Fred, if you listen to it, your family listen to it, big up yourself. Mr. Fred Brand was one of the best teachers. I wasn't even in his class, and he came to look for me when I was at high school. He said, "What happened? I know you smarter than this man. What are you going to?" He taught me right. And then when I became a student of his class, I'm telling you, he's the best teacher I ever had.
You have some people that really have it in them. They really know how to. The PR is very, very important.
The calling.
The vocation, you have to be.
I have met a couple of teachers who are very good teachers. So I don't think all teachers in Belize are bad. But there are a couple.
I'm just saying.
There are some teachers failing the system, right?
Yeah. You have to look at, let's try. If we're going to go, like, make you say, you were a teacher, Jay was a teacher, I was a teacher. Your class, 15 students are passing. In Jay's class, what are 35? 30 are passing. In my class, 5 are passing. Who the fuck should be fired? Me, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Because when these students are not in the same class, they're amongst each other. So if you're saying that I have all the bad kids, or I have all the dumb kids, which is crazy to say, because no kid is actually dumb. A kid is something that is empty and you're putting in knowledge into him. It's depending how you're teaching the child. Right? Yes, they do have some special cases. And these are the reasons why they should go to an institute that can teach them the way that they need to, if it's that we're talking about. But if not, then we need to evaluate what the teacher is doing wrong. And if the teacher does not have a success rate, then I think your license should be strict. They keep saying that we
Well,
need
I
more
think
teachers,
that is,
more
I
teachers.
think that is the truth. That's why that particular teacher went off on you, because she would have had a perfect class, right? Only one failed. That's what you're saying. One failed.
I'm not saying what one feel. I'm saying in that situation, Mel, I have no idea why she called me out.
She was mad. She was
But
angry with something.
you know, you sometimes you feel like you're the character of your story. You're the star, right? So that's the reason why.
But you
she
should
did
never
that.
make an example out of a student in any way, unless it's for good. You should never make an example. That's what she did wrong. And I'm sure she's nowhere right now in this life. Because you, as a teacher, you know what? You know who was the greatest of all teacher? You know who, right? And he didn't damn them. He didn't. He forgave and he tried to help everybody in his own way. He is the teacher, the number one teacher, I should say, no? And I don't want to go all religion on you, but definitely know that you need the calling for you to become good teachers. You need to have that, you can't just not like children. You don't need to be, you don't have to be a teacher. People are doing it because there's nothing better out there to get so easily.
And that is what is wrong. And that is what is wrong. That's what I'm saying.
I think too, you can teach yourself a lot of things.
A
Too.
lot of children
Like
are being home
Like I didn't have the best.
But can
the
you give
best
yourself
grades.
a master? Can you give yourself a master
No,
degree?
you can't. But
That's
like
what I'm saying.
I didn't have the best English grades when I was at school, but when I started growing up, I read a lot. I started to read a lot, and it helped me develop a better vocabulary, you know. And I started learning new words and
There
how
you
to
go.
speak properly.
There you go.
And like, so you can teach yourself, but like I understand Victor's quarrel with the teachers. But again, we don't know what it's like to teach 35 children.
But
So-
not and like on the topic right now, it's not only happening to your generation. In my time, I know that a light bulb went off. What happened to us at and this was right here at this high school that I attended in Greece, one of the best high schools for girls, right? The teacher was a particular nun, right? Who, when she looked out there, most of us were failing English and literature. And you know what she did? She said, most of you are failing those two topics, those two subjects, and you will pass into the other form, an upper form, because those two particular topics were not like half to pass,
They were
right?
mandatory.
Exactly. But you know what I will do? Because I am not happy of what is happening here, I will make sure that the system enrolls me to finish teach you guys next term, the next year. I will be your English teacher and literature. And you should see how the children reacted, and the girls, including myself, because we did not like her attitude. You understand?
Yeah.
But I want to tell you something. I take all of that back right now. Because yes, she did ensure that she was right there, and she greeted us on the first day and she said, "Hello, I am back. And I'm going to finish what I've
Give the
started."
arm.
Yeah. She said, "I'm going to finish what I started. And you know what? I'll make you good English students and literature students." And you know what? I will raise my hat to her. I graduated with the best.
What was her
in-
success rate?
What was her what?
Success rate out of the 15 girls or
Oh,
whatever.
great! Everybody passed. In fact, many of them who will be listening to this, I'm sure, and get me call and say, "You said a mouthful." You wouldn't believe the day she died, how we all showed up for her funeral. That touched me to the core, because that's a teacher. That was the teacher in her.
Mr.
She
Feeney.
felt her failure. She felt your failure. And she decided, you know what? I can't give up on these girls. And she made sure she was there the following year. That way, and we'll get where we were angry. But by the end of that graduating year, my grades were good in English and literature. Nobody could take that away from me. Up to now, my grammar has been well, you know. So you have teachers who really are
Natural.
out
There
there
are some
doing their
teachers
best.
I've had some like great teachers, like I said, like they're good teachers. I've had like maybe 3 teachers that I remember being the absolute worst and made me hate a lot of subjects. One of the main subjects being religion. And I've had a hard time with my religion because of that. I'm not going to say her name. She has passed away. I hope she's in heaven. But I remember I remember one of the biggest things that she did to me, and I never understood it, is I didn't have a single demerit on my card. And it was like half a year in to the school year. And to her, that was surprising. And she thought that I had 2 demerit cards. And that I was just showing her the newest one. So she wrote me a demerit from nothing. Just because she thought I was lying that that was my demerit card. I finished that school year with just that one demerit card. That one demerit on my card. And if you didn't have a demerit by the end of the year for the school that I went to, you got points added on to your average on your report card.
So that's why she did
And you
it.
needed it.
I didn't need it, but I was like,
She messed up her.
I would know. I
You wanted to be a
honestly,
prefect.
I
You
can
wanted to
say
be
it
a
now.
prefect?
I can say it now, and I really was like, this bitch. Like, and she's supposed to be a religion teacher.
Yeah.
And she was so highly praised in my school too. And I was like, no. Because I'll be honest, I'll be strict. She was a horrible religion teacher. Horrible. All she did was make us sing all the time. She taught us nothing about religion. She taught us nothing. I'll be honest with you, every religion thing I've known since then, like I didn't pick up any of that. Everything I know now is from my mom and from what I've learned from going to church. They didn't teach me anything. And it was crazy because religion was a mandatory subject.
Yeah.
It was a mandatory subject. All they did was let us sing all the time. I don't know how they graded us on that shit, but somehow I failed that shit. Somehow. I didn't sing loud enough or something.
I think she think that singing was praying twice. That's a famous line. Singing is like praying twice, but fail to instill the religion in our society.
And the second one was a geography teacher. And not only did he give off weird vibes, and not talk about what kind of weird vibes, but he used to walk in. It's kind of funny now. Walk in and go on a rant, right? So you just sit down like the watch he go on a rant.
My gosh, the
And
things
then-
these students go through.
And then look pa we when school bell ring and say, pass up all of your notebooks, I want to go on a write down. Sir, you not write one thing on the board, like what we did talk about this week, you just gone pa run. What we supposed to write, what pointers were we supposed to take, you did not give any of that. And you know what was like the craziest thing? The smart person in our class didn't have anything wrote down. So not because of me dumb. This man me just like, what? And he gave everybody a demerit. This was different
Wow.
years, by the way. This was different years. But he gave everybody a demerit and looked at us and said, next time, write down pointers. You as a teacher supposed to tell me what we to learn, give us one pointers, and tell me like what for right. because he was going off on different tangents on different things.
So crazy.
So how are we supposed to know what to write? I remember our exams for that class. I gone into that exam with a hope and a prayer. Because I honestly didn't know what to expect. We were doing maths and geography. I just felt like, what? I don't know. I don't know. And he used to always, like, I have like a very teasable name. So he used to always tease me about it too. That's just an added on thing, right? Then another teacher was an IT teacher. And he was Nigerian. And he had a very heavy accent. And God help me, I did not understand him. I didn't understand. A lot of people didn't understand him. And he used to get upset with us because we didn't understand
What subject?
him. IT. So, like computer.
So you never figured out how to use a computer.
No, I did on my own. On my own. But like, it was just like these teachers made me hate
The
different
students
subjects.
were at their own mercies.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And they used, and like what Victor said, sometimes they take out their anger on you, and for stupid things too. Because another incident, I laugh about it now because like, but at the time it was very traumatic. I don't know, but I remember we had designated bathrooms for each class, right? And we used to lock it with key and everything, right? And I remember my friend was peeing herself and she couldn't find the bathroom key for her class, right? And I had my bathroom key. So I opened my bathroom to let her go use the bathroom. And this bitch of a woman, she's a woman now, but she was a teenager at the time, saw my friend come out of the bathroom and told my teacher that she saw a different student from a different class coming out of our bathroom. And
Snitch.
she went,
Snitches get
my
stitches.
teacher called me at the end of the day and told me, give me my demerit card. And I like, miss, why? And she like, you know you're not supposed to lend out your bathroom. You know this, Victoria. We said, why are you acting like you don't have sense? And I like, my friend may need for pee. You may want I just leave my friend for pee herself?
An accident out there.
Like, we have white uniforms. Sorry, I had a conscience and never let my friend pee herself. I never said that at the time, but now I would tell her to her face, like, you gave me a demerit for nothing. For literally nothing. For being a decent human being, that's what you give me a demerit for.
As far as I know, the merit was really for academic reasons, right, or not? But for more like the
No, it's for any
discipline.
it's for any type of
The
discipline.
demerit is
It's for disciplining. No?
the demerit was like for sure.
They don't have that again,
How many?
right?
No, they still do.
They still
Yeah,
do
still
the
do,
merit
yeah.
cards and stuff like that.
Every for 5 demerits, you have detention, and after 5 detention,
You
you
get
have
suspension.
That is still in place?
Yep. But people do
I was a
working
master of
suspensions.
So what happened? You got a demerit for
I
that?
got a demerit for that, and afterwards I had to tell my friend. I was like, and I felt so bad for telling her this because I was just like, next time you pee yourself, like try to find your toilet
So
bathroom
everybody
key.
have a key.
Everybody had a key for a different bathroom. So like if you were in class A, you had a bathroom key for class A, but it was just one key on like a piece of board. So it's just one key, but not every student have a key.
Okay.
It was just one key for
And you were
each.
in charge of
Yeah.
it, or you know where to get
For
it?
me, I was in charge of cleaning the bathroom. That's why I had the key for my for my class. And
And this was after school?
yes, this was after school.
Oh, it's
And
crazy.
the girl came from the girl was in my class. She was like one of the bullies, and she saw the girl coming out of the bathroom, and she decided to rat me out. You know, for just get on my nerves, I guess.
Stitches get stitches.
I mean, these things don't go unheard of. I mean, this world is crazy. There's a God above. Don't do that. Don't ever do that. You know?
Well, for me, only in high school I start regain trust and hope to teachers because I really enjoyed my teachers in high school because they saw me because I was never like when I was a child I was very talkative and I was very like sociable and I was like but something happened to me like traumatic when I was a little girl and it was because of a teacher. Like I feel like a teacher, parents trust their kids to go to school, and they trust teachers to take care of the kids. So when something happens, a child automatically goes to a teacher because the teacher is the adult. And I was 5 at that time, and
So young?
yeah, I was 5. I just started school, like infant 1, I guess. And I was going to a school near my house. It was close because my parents were always working, and so I was going to school, and we had to change seating arrangement. And I don't remember the teacher's name. I remember her face, but I don't remember her name. We changed seating arrangement, and there was this boy that was seated like on like I don't know how to describe, but he was sitting almost next to me, and I was seated like on the sides. Like he was seated at the front of the table, and I was seated on the side. And he disclaimer, he touched me inappropriately, and I didn't know what to do because I was 5. I didn't know what to do. I was scared, and like disclaimer again, like it was very traumatic. And I turned to watch the teacher because again I didn't know what to do, and the teacher saw what he was doing and she didn't do anything. And at first I thought, okay, maybe the teacher didn't see because I was a child, but a student walked in and she saw that I was crying, and I was like red, and she was like what was happening, like why did I look like that, right? And so when she looked down, she saw what was happening, and she literally like that, and she looked at the teacher, and I looked at the teacher, and the teacher did nothing.
That's crazy.
And then the next day when I went back to school, I didn't want to sit beside the guy, and I think the same girl that saw it, she was seated like a little bit further than me where I was, and she was like, sit here with me. And I sat with her, beside her.
Shout out to that little girl.
The teacher scolded me and punished me by not sending me for recess. And the guy, he got in trouble too because he said I wasn't going to recess, and he stayed back and he did it again. And the teacher, and then that ever since then, I ended up turning into a very shy. I thought I got over it, but I guess I didn't.
That's okay.
So
You said 5 years old?
I was 5, and so ever since then, that's when I became very shy and closed off.
Naturally.
Yeah, and so in primary school when I changed school, and so when I changed school, I wasn't the same little girl anymore. I was closed off. I was quiet. And in primary school, the teachers did give me a harder time because I wasn't as, I think back then the kids were like active and hyper, and and I wasn't like that. So the teachers did give me a little bit more hard time because I didn't go to them. Like if I didn't know the work, I would have just failed because I didn't have that trust to go with them. And every time a teacher tried to approach me to help me, I didn't say I can't say my primary school teachers were bad because they didn't know what happened. So they did try to help me to get smarter because I was smart,
And
but
you never did tell your mom about this experience?
no, she found out when I was like,
Oh.
I think when I was
As
16.
a child that young. why is it that a child would not tell their parents these things?
There's a lot of
What is
reasons.
because nobody was threatened here. Nobody threatened her.
Well,
Why
for
is
me,
it that,
I
have you ever questioned yourself? Why?
I think I did it because I was devastated that the person who I thought was supposed to protect me, which was the teacher, because she was the adult and she saw it, she didn't protect me. So I was like, okay, well, I guess my parents won't care either. I don't know. I was a kid, so I don't know. Maybe that was
I
why.
think she maybe just lost trust in adults on a whole, which is would be very
It's
normal.
strange because I know I was mom, and I know that I would have gone to my parents for anything or anything. I did. You know, you have to know.
I think you have
There-
different.
there's different ways kids respond to traumatic stuff.
I know,
They-
but you'd find that a child that doesn't go
she
to
saw
her
that she got punished, so she thought that her mother and father would punish her also.
But
And you wanna
actually,
know something, these I have a feeling they're still teaching.
Yeah.
So my case is just built up more by hearing these stories.
I'll be honest, I went through a similar situation like
It's
Jackie, but
crazy.
my teacher was a good teacher, and it was a woman teacher as well. A little boy, he didn't get that as physical as what Jay explained, but he was like touching my legs and stuff, and my teacher saw, and my teacher, it was the first time, but it was allowed back then.
What
She
was allowed
slapped
back
him.
then?
She
Oh.
she smacked him across the back,
Oh, okay.
and she punished him, and she ended up moving him from around me, and she put him around like a group of boys and a girl next to me. So I've had an experience, but the action was different from what Jay described. That woman, that teacher that did that for me, that's how you should respond. If not harsher, he should have probably gotten suspended or something. But there are some women, and I will say this, who are, I feel like women should protect women and kids too. Some women really let us down, and that woman, for Jay, let her down as a woman and as a child and as a teacher and as an adult. And my mom didn't know that happened to me, but I did feel like I needed to tell her because my teacher handled it. I can see why Jay didn't tell her mom, like what Victor said. She realized when she tried to speak up or was showing that she was hurt, they punished her for it, and she got a negative feedback from that situation. So she was scared that she would get another negative feedback, and that happens a lot with victims. And that's why a lot of victims feel hard of coming out in case or have the fear of people will think low of me now, or feel a certain way about me now, which shouldn't be, because you are a victim of whatever you've been through. And when Jay cried, you shouldn't apologize for crying for a trauma. It is a trauma, depending on how small or big scale it is a trauma and a hurt. And the biggest thing I saw about trauma and hurt is trauma and hurt don't go away. They don't go away, but it's like having a blackness, you know. They don't go away, but we, as life goes on, we have good things that happen to us,
Yeah.
and,
And then the more and
it
more you speak
overshadows
about
the
it,
trauma.
and you know what, you when, like, it's going in social, obviously it's going to be out there. When you do that, you hope others can learn from what you went through, and now that you say that, and we know about other little younger girls going to school, you have to ask them these things. Are you okay? No, I think I overheard you with one of your cousins, who your little cousin there. No, you let me know if anybody's touching you inappropriately, because nobody should touch you. Nobody. You know?
No.
Nobody should touch you.
And this doesn't go for other girls, by the way. It goes for boys.
Oh, yeah.
Boys can be
Well, no,
sexually
yes.
harassed and
No,
harassed.
that's for sure, right?
Yeah.
So now that you know what you know, you bet your sweet ass, nobody around you will get what you got. right? Will like nobody, not on your watch then. And this is where we learn from what happens to us, not because there is not good people out there or there is no God. These things come into our lives so that we can help the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Right? It's always to help a bigger picture and to make it brighter. So if what you go through, and we always try to, we as Christians who are going, because many people come to us and say, where is God in all this? And we say, you know what? God is always in the bigger picture. Because what your guy went through, or what your baby going through, what your daughter went through, we are hoping that life will change, laws will change to improve the life for in a bigger way for others to come, who comes behind you. You understand? So don't believe that to lock it up, to have it locked up in you and stay with it is not wrong. You from small, you tell that child to be as outspoken as he can. Don't allow your kids to know that they are lesser than anybody else. Nobody is lesser than you. And so that know that you know what you know. All of you, when you have your own, because none of you around here have your own yet. You tell them that exactly, because you cannot be there 24/7. You cannot be there 24/7 for them. But you know what? Teaching them, and we started this conversation with that same concept. It starts at home, where you teach a child what is wrong and what is right. What if somebody do this? Because it's out there now. My mama never had to give me this pep talk, but because of the society we live in now, we have to give our kids those kind of pep talk. You understand? I never had that. I was not exposed to that. But you know what? I knew it was sacred. So the minute anything, even in my this brother or that brother knocked me. What? You get busted. You never hit a woman. You never. So it's a discipline. It's a thing that you teach your kids from home. What is wrong and what is right.
Yeah.
And you know what? I hear your stories and I can't believe I have never been. But you see, my parents were always in prayers. My mother especially. And when you are not in prayers for your children, you can lose them to society, to the world like that. Thank God for my mother, right? We're praying for me. And so, whatever went wrong in your lives, question your mother. Just go back and question her. Where was she in those times? You could have been hectic in the world trying to survive too. But because of that little pureness of heart that she was not neglecting you, thinking you are in the best of hands. A mother always would think her child, sending her child to school is in the best of hands. You have to believe that, because then we're doomed here. You understand? We're doomed. So that because of that little pureness of that heart of that parents, allowing that child to be there to go to school, because that's mandatory too, right? For a child to go to be educated. God help the child. God help the mother. And they survive it, and they could live to tell. But you know what? It's in the attesting. It's your attesting to what you go through heals you. You could tell this again and again, and you will notice after a while you will not feel the hurt, because you keep attesting to it, so that others can change, can transform. All right, and that's why it's not good to lock up your trauma. It's always good to vent it out. Vent out what's hurting you, be it a physical thing or an emotional thing or a mental thing. Vent it. Say what is wrong with you and cry it out. That is the best healing you will ever get. I understand, and I knew that from fact. Because I too, when I went through my own kind of depression and thing, it was true saying it every time I met someone and I cried, and every time I cried less. I noticed every time it felt better, because I knew I was not the only one with trauma. I knew I was not the only one getting hurt. I knew I was not the only one hurting, because when I looked up, by the end of the night, we all had our own traumas. So you're not alone.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, this open discussion was great.
Yes.
And
Touch a lot of topics.
yeah, we touch a lot of topics,
Touch a lot.
and I must say, we can see that there's a lot of trauma that happen, especially in our young adulthood. I don't call it adulthood, it kind of sound like childhood, and it causes all kind of emotional damage to each one of us individually. And I think none of us share like the same stigma from the situation. Like Vivi and Jada said that they have similar stories but different outcomes.
Yeah.
And I'll stick by what I said. We need to find out if these kids are mentally, if they're okay, if they're showing different signs of abuse of some sort. And bluntly put on the line, like, have you been open to any abuse? And make these kids answer, and somebody will truthfully answer. The ones that can't take it, like in Jay's case, she knew from then that it wasn't right. Even the little girl that was with Jay and looking at the teacher, they knew that this situation wasn't right. Why the fuck is it that she couldn't understand that the situation wasn't right? And I'll tell you this, Mel, I got a feeling these teachers are still teaching, except for the one that the two of her friends that passed away. So
I'm sure that
they're still teaching, and
I'm hoping and praying.
I just hope the other students are getting the same treatment.
Yes, I'm hoping they're not.
But I'll stand by what I said. We need to evaluate the kids, and we have to also see, do whatever you have to, find out which teachers need to be fired, because they need to be fired.
Yeah.
They're not doing their jobs. I'm telling you, they're not doing their jobs. I'll stand behind that. I'm not ashamed to say it. My name is Victor Kinneris, and I stand behind that. They're not doing their jobs. There are a lot of kids out here, and they're in uniforms and acting wild, and they can say, "Oh, it's no." I have a little cousin that I feel like I helped raise, and never, and that kid can tell me, never did I ever teach him something wrong. And I'm a young person. I'm only 30. So he right now is 19. You do your maths. I'm teaching him at a young age. I was teaching him not to do something to devastate his life, not to do and say wrong things. Why is it that I am so wise to do that? Am I something special? I don't know. But I'm telling you, you can make a difference. We touched on it with our role models on our role model podcast. You can be a role model. Why is it that the teachers don't believe in this?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that all of them. Some of them probably do. But all of them need to understand that they are. Not some, all. I can't tell you, other than Mr. Fred Bryant once again, that I had a good another teacher other than that. I can't mention their names. That's to show you. I can't remember their names because they never left an impact. All they brought to my life was anxiety and ridicule.
And I'm sure you're not standing alone in that respect. Because these teachers that we decided, we have realized now that we have teachers like that out there. That means the poor children are really at the mercies of these evil people.
And that's why I think I'm going to just bring it to a 360. Like a 360.
Yeah.
A 360 to my point of, I think we need to make sure our children are, I think my Mel touched on it, to have a sense of community with people. Children, especially like in Jay's circumstances, she said she kind of introverted into herself after something like that. And we've established sometimes school isn't a safe space for children, and it can get very lonely and traumatic for a child. And I think it's very important that children have a safe space. I don't know what that is. If you're an adult listening to this and you have a child, honestly, sometimes you just need, even though they're young, and you must think that nothing to go on up there for them yet. Sit down and talk to your child of what makes them happy. What brings a smile to their face. If it's Paw Patrol, then you know that's their safe space right now. It's Paw Patrol. You know, talk about what makes your child happy. And if that is your child's safe space, push them into that safe space.
Because you never know, you maybe are saving your child.
Exactly.
Yes.
And like I said, like a safe space, like for me, my safe space was my saving grace. Like what Victor said, when I found my safe space, it saved my life, and that could be that for that child too. As just a place to be safe, where they feel comforted. And a lot of blessed are the people who feel comforted by their family. That their family are their safe space. You understand? But
And it could be that your family has been praying for you without you even realize. You know, people out there are taking a lot for granted that people are not praying for you. I tell you, I was at the mercies of the world, but I know my mother was praying for me. You understand? But I never recognized that till the very end too. I've never recognized that till the very end. That when I looked up and I realized that I was not alone. I have family. That made a difference. These kids, like what Victoria talked about, many of them, thank God you had a family that you can move on, you know? So we have to be careful when it comes to the children coming and looking up to us now, because we know a lot and we've been through a lot, you know? And there was one lady that said she found a letter from her, and this is a lady in church doing everything right, praying and everything right, and she found a letter from her little girl saying, I'm so proud of my mom. She's doing so many things for the church. She's praying every day. But you know what? I miss my mom. She was doing everything else, but was not there for her daughter, or was not there for her family. Put family first, okay? God first, in his own way, right? Then family.
God is part of the family.
Exactly. It's
Put
part of the family,
first.
but God first. Always God first, meaning always pray. When we talk about prayer, that's God. So always pray. There are a lot of parents out there who are living in a house of glass. Do you understand what that means? They have kids, but they don't realize that one stone could shatter the whole thing. One stone meaning one trauma. One thing could just bring it apart. No foundation. A house built with glass near a sea or near a river will just shatter with no foundation. What is your foundation? Good morals, God, things like that. That's the thing will hold our family together. And I think you in your own way, Jay, you in your own way, V, it's family that may have held that together in God's eyes to give you another chance to be here to make a difference in the world with your story, which will touch many lives, you know. Some people for the first time are hearing things like this. Some people, I've heard many, I've heard worse. There's always going to be a worse person going through worse things than you. Being raped, it's now a joke, right? Incest and things like that happening to young children molested by their own parents. Can you believe that? Those people don't have God in their lives. Because if they had God in their lives, and first and centered in their lives, the children are not exposed to them things. Could have never been exposed to those things. You understand? But you do the survey if you have to, or if you want to. A child that is well protected, that nothing happened to them, I'm telling you, and that they weather the storm well, like how you have, that people will have been praying for you, and it could have been your own grandmother or a great grandmother, because they have parents. Not in this society right now, and you could come to people right now who are staying focused. But I tell you, in this Belize we had, because a big groups of women doing confession, we had lines of people that confess their sins, staying clean and clear, to make God hear their prayer. My mother was one of them, you know. So my mother is grandmother and great-grandmother right now to a lot of kids out there. She prayed for her grandchildren when she never know. She said, I'm praying for my children and my great-grandchildren. And just like how God prayed for us, prayed for the whole world, I never know you yet, but he knew you by name, right? God knows each one of us by name from before we enter our mother's womb. So if that is the case, it's not what you've been through, but who you are. Don't forget that what you went through does not define you. Oh, you are the girl that molested. Oh, you are the girl that they bullied. No, that's not who you are. You are a child of God, and God loves you with all those scars and things. You understand what I'm saying here? And you find that beauty and that goal and a treasure to help others. Be a difference in their lives.
He also gave a good sense of humor.
You need one. You need a sense of humor in there too, right?
Built a good sense of humor. A dark one, but a good one.
That said, I'll say goodbyes. Mel,
God bless everybody. Thank you for listening, and we hope that this may have touched you in some sort of a way, and that you can share it with others. And just be there for your people, for your family. Be there for them in every way. Thank you.
V.
Bye guys. I hope this discussion kind of opened your eyes to some things, and I hope from one thing you take away from this podcast is to just keep in touch with your children and be there for them, and maybe just a simple how was your day to them. Have a amazing day, night, wherever you are.
Bye, guys. Thank you for listening, and I hope this discussion that we did here makes you feel less alone. And don't be shy to comment, and we'll read it and we'll listen to you. And stay safe.
This is your boy Q, the friendly neighborhood Master Jedi. Guys, just love your family. I know everything can't be perfect, but if you work at it, you can make a house a home. You can make 3 people into a family. God first, family first A. That was the first A.
Love is the answer.
And these stories that you heard, these are true scars that we shared with you all. We want you all to comment. If you have bad comments, we'll accept those too. But please like, share, subscribe to us on our various platform. And
I just want to put this out there because maybe somebody needs it too. If you want to DM us on any of our social platforms, I need someone to talk to, or because I know there are some people who find it easier to talk to a person without a face.
Yeah.
Feel welcome to do that, and if we see it, we will try to answer as best as we can.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you all. You'll hear from us soon once more. 501 Social Podcast.
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. I like that. Drop the mic.
Hi guys, this is VIVI. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment if you like this episode. And don't forget to follow us on our different social medias. Thank you.